A boy named Vincent and his dad, Andrew, decide to stay with his Aunt Jean after a fight between his parents. While walking around the house, Vincent sees the door to the cellar and decides to explore what's inside. As he checks around, he sees a bright globe, and as he touches it, he suddenly finds himself in 1985, in the midst of a younger Andrew and Jean. Days earlier, Andrew arrives at his old family house with Vincent, who is busy playing games in the car. After Andrew gets him to come out of the car, Vincent asks if his dad won't call his mom to inform her that they've gotten to where they'll be staying for a while. Andrew says he won't be calling her because she was the one who sent them out of the house. Just as Vincent says she didn't send them out, Andrew's sister Jean comes out of the house to welcome them. She hugs Andrew and says she never thought she'd see her brother back in their old family house. She also kisses Vincent on his head and calls him Vinny. However, Andrew tells her not to call him that because he's too old for nicknames. Jean doesn't get why he'd say that, but it doesn't stop her from calling Vincent by his nickname again. Shortly after, she leads them inside the house. After they enter the house, Jean tells Andrew that Vincent has grown quite tall and that he likely got it from his mother because she's the tall one. Just then, Andrew thanks Jean for letting him and Vincent stay over for a while. As he says it won't be forever, Jean says she hopes it means that he'd finally get rid of his ego and call his wife to sort out whatever is going on between them. However, Andrew says it means he'll be getting a new home instead. Suddenly, he zones out while looking at a well outside the house. Jean taps him out of it and asks if he's okay, and he says he is, after which he walks away. Vincent hears everything his dad says and looks sad about it. He then goes to meet Jean, who asks if he has been able to look around the house. Vincent says he has, and that it's nice. Jean then tells him that the house is where she and Andrew grew up. She adds that while Andrew left immediately, he was old enough to get a place for himself. She just couldn't see herself leaving because she'd miss it too much. She then tells Vincent to go outside the house to explore the surroundings while she prepares lunch. Vincent does as he's told, and while he's looking around, he sees the well outside the house. As he looks closer because the well has been covered, he suddenly hears Andrew shouting for him to step back. As he also runs to meet Vincent, Andrew tells him never to go near the well, or he'll be banned from coming to the garden. He sounds quite agitated as he holds Vincent, and he also stammers. Before he shouts any further, Jean tells him to leave Vincent alone. She also says she's the one who told him to go out to explore. As Andrew walks back inside, Jean tells Vincent that she hasn't heard Andrew stammer in a long time, which means he's stressed. She also tells Vincent not to be too hard on his dad. As he keeps looking at the well, Jean mentions that when Andrew was younger, he had a best friend named Red who disappeared down the well. She then adds that since it happened, Andrew hasn't been himself, and things even got weird around the house when it happened. After staring at the well for a while, they then head back inside the house. Vincent continues looking around the house and even sees the wall where his dad and Jean used to mark their heights. This makes him smile, and as he keeps walking around, a strange door suddenly opens. Vincent decides to go in, and as he does so, it turns out that it leads to the cellar. After climbing down the stairs, Vincent tries to put on the light, but it doesn't come on. He then sees a torchlight and decides to use it. As he walks around the cellar, he sees a bright light not too far from him. He goes closer and sees that it's a mysterious shiny globe that is floating in air. This looks intriguing to him, and as he admires it, he eventually touches the globe and sees it create a spark. Just then, he starts hearing voices upstairs and leaves the cellar to see who it is. As Vincent walks back to the living room, he notices that the house looks older. When he also gets to the living room, it turns out that the person shouting is a younger Jean, who is cheering for Andrew as he's about to break a record on his favorite game. Vincent then looks confused and wonders what's really going on. Jean's mom eventually calls her to come over, and as she leaves, Vincent enters the living room. Andrew gets distracted as he sees a stranger in the house, and he fails at his record attempt. Vincent says sorry for this, and Andrew asks how he entered the house. He then says that he got lost and found himself in the cellar. Andrew doesn't understand this, but Vincent looks more worried that he's speaking to his dad's younger self. As Andrew introduces himself while stammering, Vincent looks scared and asks if it was Jean who just left the room. Andrew confirms this, and as Vincent looks around, he sees a magazine with the year 1985 on it. With this, he realizes that he must have gone back in time when he touched the globe in the cellar. He immediately runs back there, even though Andrew tries to stop him from leaving. However, Vincent is too scared to wait, so he finds the globe and touches it while saying he wants to go back. When he returns to the present day, Vincent looks strangely at Andrew and Jean, forcing them to ask if he's okay. Vincent just says he didn't sleep well, and he also asks Jean if she has ever seen anything strange in the cellar. Jean says she doesn't like going down there, and when she asks if he saw anything, he says he didn't. Shortly after, Andrew finishes up with his food, and as he's packing his plate, he tells Vincent to make himself useful around the house. He also tells Vincent to keep his game away and get some fresh air outside instead of just sitting inside the house. Andrew adds that when he was younger, he used to spend a lot of time outside the house. As he says this, Vincent looks confused, and Jean also makes a funny face because she knows her brother is lying. A while later, Vincent returns to the cellar and touches the globe so he can head back to the past again. As he enters the living room, Andrew is still playing his game and trying to break the record. Vincent knocks on the door to get his attention, and Andrew then sees the strange boy in his house again. Before he says anything, he suddenly gets a cramp in his leg, and as he drops the controller, he tells Vincent to take over. Despite looking confused at first, Vincent takes the controller and helps Andrew with the game. He appears to be very good at it, and Andrew asks if he has played the game before. Vincent says it's just his first time, and he then asks how long Andrew has been playing. Andrew says he has been playing since the previous night, and that he even had to wait for his parents to finish watching the TV before he could have time for his game. Vincent asks what the record to beat is, and Andrew says it's 41 million. This leaves Vincent shocked, and as he also fails in his attempt at beating the record, Andrew tells him not to worry because he still has his whole life to beat the record. As the game ends, Vincent asks if Andrew wants to go outside. However, this sounds weird to him, and he says he prefers to stay inside and show Vincent his Star Wars collection. They then leave for Andrew's room, and as they get there, Vincent looks shocked to see that his dad is a big Star Wars fan. Vincent then talks about the game they just played and says he didn't know Andrew liked games. Andrew says he is still aiming for the world record and that he'd do anything to get it. Vincent asks why it's so important to him, and Andrew says he doesn't stammer when he plays the game. Following this, Vincent says he needs to get back before his dad gets mad. Andrew says his dad sounds lame, but before Vincent can say anything, he sees him popping a chewing gum. As Vincent watches him, Andrew says he's obsessed with the gums. He also gives Vincent some to take home, and he collects it. When Vincent returns to the present day, he sees his dad crying as he's about to call his mom. Andrew eventually decides against it, and as he sits alone, Vincent offers him some gum. He initially tells Vincent to get away, but as he sees the gum, Andrew looks shocked. He asks where his son got it from, and Vincent says he got it from a nearby corner shop that had a limited re-release going on. He gives Andrew the gum again, and this time he takes it. He then smiles as he tells his son that he hasn't had the gum since he was a kid. He also tells Vincent about how well he liked the gum as a kid. Together, they then start blowing their gums and popping them while looking happy. Jean walks in and admires the moment, but as Andrew sees her, he stands up and heads outside. Jean then commends Vincent for getting his dad to smile for the first time in a while. The next day, Vincent returns to the past and spends a lot of time with Andrew. As they're playing the game together, Andrew gives Vincent the name Red and says it's what he'll be calling him. While Andrew sounds happy because it's a reference to their favorite movie, Vincent looks worried as he stares out the window and sees the well. When he returns to the present day, he asks Jean about Red, but she says she doesn't want to talk about it because it upsets Andrew. However, Vincent begs her to tell him, saying he needs to know. Jean finally agrees to tell him what she knows, and she says it happened on a day she was also trying to beat a skipping record. She mentions that while she was at it, she heard Andrew screaming by the well after Red fell in. She also adds that she saw a bright light when it happened, though it disappeared as Andrew went back into the house. Jean says she didn't see Andrew react to what happened until he smashed his game console. She then adds that what happened was like a part of him that got broken and was never fixed. The next day, Vincent returns to the past, and while he's staring at the well, Andrew asks if his dad will let him sleep over. Vincent says his dad would never allow it, and that he and Andrew are equally stubborn. Andrew says he's starting to like Vincent's dad, but Vincent says it's not something to be proud of. He also mentions that if only Andrew talked more, things wouldn't be so bad. He adds that Andrew's wife wouldn't leave him and his family would still be together. Andrew doesn't understand what Vincent is saying, and he also jokes that he's never getting married. As they keep playing with one of Andrew's new toys, it flies out the window and lands next to the well. Andrew tells Vincent to go and get it, but he refuses to do so because the well still freaks him out. Vincent tells Andrew to do it instead, and he agrees. Before he heads out, though, he asks Vincent for what his dad loves doing. Vincent doesn't get why he's asking the question, but Andrew says if he knows what his dad loves, they can do it together. Andrew also adds that it could be an opportunity to finally get through to his dad. When he returns to the present day, Vincent looks for his dad's broken game console and fixes it. He then takes it to meet his dad, who looks shocked to see his old game console. Vincent then says Jean told him that Andrew never broke the record. He also mentions that he'd want them to do it together. Andrew says it's impossible because the console is broken, but Vincent says he has fixed it. This makes his dad happy, but Andrew still tries to avoid playing because it will take a lot of time. However, Vincent says they have enough time to break the record. Just then, he hands over the controller and Andrew starts playing. He spends a lot of time on it, with Vincent even sleeping through some parts of his record attempt. As he gets close to the record, he wakes Vincent to check it out and also refers to his son as Vinny. After a while, Andrew gets a score of 42 million to break the record, which makes him incredibly happy as he rejoices with his son. The next day, Vincent goes to the cellar so he can touch the globe again, but he doesn't find it. He eventually sees the globe near the well, and as he touches it, he returns to 1985. He also sees that the globe is now getting weaker, and he wonders what's really happening. As he's about to go inside, he sees Jean through the window as she's skipping with her jump rope. Just then, Andrew shows up, and Vincent thanks him for the advice he gave him earlier about letting his dad do what he loves. Andrew says it's nothing, and he invites Vincent to join his family for dinner. As Andrew enters the house, Vincent looks back and sees a bright light shining from inside the well. At that point, Vincent connects the dots and realizes that it's the same day Red disappears down the well. As he approaches the well, he sees the globe inside. He then realizes that the reason Red disappeared down the well was because he wanted to reach for the globe. Vincent looks confused as he doesn't know what to do next, because if he jumps inside, his dad would be hurt forever. He also knows that if he doesn't enter the well to touch the globe, he won't be able to go back home. As he keeps contemplating what to do, Andrew comes outside and asks if he's still coming inside for dinner. Vincent doesn't respond because he's still thinking of what to do. Finally, Vincent decides to stay back to avoid breaking Andrew's heart when he sees him entering the well. Following this, the globe disappears, and Vincent realizes that he's now stuck in 1985. As Andrew then calls him again for dinner, he decides to return inside. However, before he enters the house, the globe appears again, and Vincent sees this as a way back home. He then goes to meet Andrew to tell him that he's the best friend he has ever had. He also hugs him and says he needs to go. Andrew takes this well and tells Vincent that it's not a problem. He also says he'll see Vincent later, after which he returns inside the house. Just then, Vincent touches the globe and returns to the present day. He looks happy to be back, and as the globe disappears, Vincent sees that Jean has been watching him. She also looks happy to see him, and as he gets closer to her, Jean says she always knew there was something weird about the house. Following this, they head into the house together and see Andrew looking lively as he's preparing a meal. Vincent looks shocked and says he didn't know his dad could cook. He also sees an extra plate on the table, and as he asks who has it, his mom enters the house and touches his hair before going to help Andrew in the kitchen. Vincent looks happy to see this, and as he looks at Jean, they smile at each other.